What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Gonna talk a little grading today. Demand for grading, some shakeups, some predictions. We'll see what happens. I talked about this, teased it, I guess, on the live stream with Dakota the other night. I was poking around on Gemred. I had this thought. I drive around a lot for work and had a thought strike me. I wondered what the PSA, or I'm sorry, the grading company population counts looked like on 21 NFL Prism. That's a product that just came out a couple weeks ago. And I figured this is not perfect by any means. This is not perfect. And I'm not, saying that this is indicative of, but I think it gives us what the population counts of 21 Prism look like now, 3 weeks, basically a month in, I think, since the initial boxes hit that people have been sending stuff in. What that kind of looks like, I think, gives us an idea on what the demand is for modern grading with these various different companies. And I'm going to lead into this with a couple other things because there's a little bit of newsy stuff that I want to kind of wrap into this as well. I think we are starting to see, I don't want to say demand for grading lessen, but demand filtering to the top. Before we dive too deep into a bunch of nonsense, let me knock out the quick news thing first, because it kind of sets the tone for this. PSA announced today, recording this Thursday, right before NBA free agency starts, that the value service is now fully opened for Collectors Club members. What does fully open mean? The big change here is no more year restriction. Prior to this, for the last month or so, it had to be 1996 or sooner. Now, that restriction is removed. And I think, and we've seen this from PSA for about 6 months now. Essentially, what they're doing with each one of these things that they do is testing the waters to see how much demand is there for current grading. And this is smart, by the way. This is 100% exactly what they should be doing. They open the door a little bit, let a few things in, and kind of get a feel for how things are doing it. They did it with the economy lottery events late last year, beginning of this year, where it's like, hey, $50 economy slots, we're going to let some of you guys and girls in. And they let a little bit more and then a little bit more, and they were judging demand. They were looking on the back end, I'm sure, and saying, hey, here's how many people are joining these things. Here's how many slots we're handing out. Here's how many of those slots are actually getting used, because I know a lot of people would get them and sit on them and not even send all the cards, because you get 20 and maybe you send 5 cards. So they do the same thing here. They open value service back up about a month ago? Yeah, I think almost exactly a month ago. And they put this weird restriction of 1996 or newer on it. They now have 3 to 4 weeks worth of data of exactly how many cards they're getting, what's coming through the door, and what is it looking like. They announced today on the PSA podcast, the backlog is down to 2.5 million cards. And once again, most of that is in the grading stage or later. The early stages is a pretty much clean slate. So the first 2 to 3 stages of the little grading tracker, the pizza tracker on PSA's website, doesn't have a lot of volume right now. It's the grading and later. And I think most of it's actually the later. So they'd have 4 weeks worth, 4 weeks worth of data on this value service, how much stuff's coming through the door. They could begin to judge demand. They probably have a pretty good idea of when that backlog is actually going to be cleared. I'm sure they have a billion, trillion, cajillion performance metrics. They probably know within a day when that backlog is going to be cleared, how many cards and orders they can have in the assembly line on its way to the grading team beforehand that won't cause them issues and immediately put them behind again. I'm sure they have this all mapped out. They know exactly what they can get through, exactly how long it takes, all of this. I'm sure they have it all down to a T or close to it. So I think they opened that up, got a feel for it, and now they're saying, okay, cool. We took that hit, we kind of see what the demand for grading is, and now we're going to open it up the rest of the way and see what happens as they get closer to the backlog. I do not think we see a price change until the backlog is completely clear. That's one of my predictions there. I do not think they go below $30 a card at least until the backlog is fully clear. And that may just be in a couple months. So they're still saying mid-fall. The other thing that's going on right now, and then we're going to dive into some pop data that is extremely interesting. SGC is flipping stuff around ridiculously fast. I believe I saw on Blowout, cards were getting received on like a Monday, graded on a Tuesday, and shipped back out on a Wednesday. That is insane. How quickly they are turning stuff around. I believe when I had Peter on, and I think that was about 2 months ago now, they were at 14 to 17 days, I think, 6 weeks ago. I don't remember exactly the date of that interview, but let's call it 6 weeks ago, give or take a week, one way or the other. They were at a little over 2 weeks. They are now down to basically 2 days, nothing, a day. Insanely fast on regular orders. That's $30 a card. And I've heard that group submissions as well are going insanely fast. What does that tell me? That tells me that, at least from an outside looking in, I don't know, that I am wondering if they are getting less cards in the door. If submission volume has dropped since, because what has happened in the last 6 weeks, PSA opened up $30 service. There's beginning to see light at the end of the tunnel. I have a sneaking suspicion we are going to get an SGC price decrease, even if it's only $5, maybe $10. I don't know. I know nothing, but I have a feeling we're going to get an SGC price decrease at or before the National. We'll see. Complete guess on my part. Let's dive in. This is what I really wanted to talk about today. This is, once again, gem rate. He has these wonderful population data for set and year, and this is current as of, looks like 6:30, so he must have already ran today's update. Sometimes he's like a day behind. So this is 21 Prism Football. This is the total number of cards graded, 506. Not PSA 10s, just total graded. One interesting thing to note here, 24% gem rate. That is extremely low. And remember, we're only about a month into this product being out. So these, at best case, are only express orders and higher. Regular orders, I don't think would have made it all the way through the grading process yet. I just don't. So you're talking $100 a card or higher. You see a lot of autographs, silver prisms, etc. out here. Now, something a viewer pointed out on my live stream, which, scrolling through here, I don't notice it either. This does not include inserts, the way PSA's pop report breaks out. Inserts are tracked separately, so this number is probably actually a little higher. This is just the base card and its different variations. Silver prism, the prism variation, the whole 9 yards. But it's not like the sensational prism fireworks nonsense, immediate impact, or whatever their dumb, worthless inserts are called. So that is this, 506 cards. Let's drop down to SGC. So we have 506 total graded and a 24% gem rate. Go to SGC here. 426 graded and only a 28% gem rate. So 4%, not a huge swing. Basically what that's telling me is the quality control on 21 Prism is garbage, is one thing that it's telling me. Strong showing out of SGC, 426 cards. This does include inserts. You see like introduction silver prisms. This would not be included on the PSA pop report because it's just looking at base prisms. So this number is slightly inflated. Not inflated. The PSA number is slightly deflated because it's not including those inserts. The other thing to keep in mind is SGC's turning stuff around ridiculously fast. So I have to imagine there's a lot of NFL Prism going in at that $30 value. We won't know. We'll eventually know once stuff starts hitting the pop report. But as of right now, PSA has graded a decent amount more cards than SGC. So when it comes to the whole purpose of this is to judge demand for the grading companies on modern cards. PSA, clear leader, SGC, I don't want to say right behind them, but pretty close behind them. But once again, you got to remember, SGC's flipping cards a lot faster than PSA is. So it's going to make their pop report a little bit higher. Let's go to CSG. So we've seen PSAs over 500, SGCs over 400. What do you think? And gem rates at about mid-20s%. What do you think CSG's is for how many cards they've graded from Prism? And these numbers are updated, so if you watch the live stream, it's shifted a little bit. So in the comments down below, put your best guess, CSG dash how many cards they've graded. And while you're down there, guess how many BGS is graded. And this is the entire 21 Prism football set. So CSG dash how many they've graded, BGS dash how many they've graded now that you've seen PSA and SGC's number. So I'll give you a quick second there, and then we'll go ahead and pull up CSG's report. So pencils down, got your guesses in. Okay. CSG has graded 30 total cards. 30 total cards from Prism or on their population report. 17% gem rate. Quality control on 2021 Prism football looks terrible. Terrible. But only 30 graded cards out of 21 football. PSA over 500, SGC over 400, CSG 30. All right, let's go ahead and pull up Beckett's. Their pop report's kind of weird, so I had to actually go to Beckett's website, copy and paste a bunch of stuff, and dump it into a spreadsheet. So their number is actually quite a bit different from the live stream the other night. Here is theirs. If you total all these up, I did it offline, it comes out to about 50, give or take. So Beckett has graded 50, PSA over 500, almost 600 when you kind of toss in the extra stuff. SGC over 400, CSG 30, Beckett 50. So you could really start to assume a pecking order here in regards to demand. And when I'm talking about demand, I'm not talking about secondary market demand, which kind of follows this when you really think about it. I'm talking about demand to submit for grading services. So, do with these numbers what you will. Is it an end-all, be-all? No. Is it interesting? Yes. Does it paint the whole picture? No. Does it paint a picture? Yes. It definitely gives us a snapshot into kind of how the market is treating these grading companies in regards to who they want to send cards to. So it's PSA and SGC as a clear cut 1 and 2. Clear cut 1 and 2. With BGS and CSG neck and neck for 3/4. BGS gets a slight edge, at 50 cards, CSG at 30 cards. But PSA and SGC quite a bit apart. And I do think as we get into PSA value services, I believe they will begin to really pull away from SGC. But we'll see where that goes. But regardless, SGC is a clear number 2. PSA is a clear number 1. And then it is really quite the drop for BGS and CSG. Once again, I'm not talking resale value. Demand for grading services. This is going to be something I'm going to keep an eye on over the next couple months as we move throughout the Prism football cycle. And then I'm going to do it again when NBA Prism hits. But I think in these early days, this is a very interesting way to kind of gauge demand for grading services for these companies. So we'll see what happens. Time will tell. Curious for your thoughts and comments down below. We will catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.